just in case. All right, so welcome again, everyone, to this session of Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. My name is Robin Freeman. I'm excited to share with you this session. Here's my contact information. My number is on the screen, 722-8089, and my email address, and then we have our website. So it's my privilege to be with you for the next few minutes to share with you the information from this great book, Developing the Leader Within You from John Maxwell. I hope you had a chance to read chapter one. If not, no problem. We're going to have a discussion and we'll go through some key points in chapter one today. Talk about our own leadership and how we want to continue to grow as leaders. And so I'll be sharing insights from chapter one. You have the participant guide that you can also use, and it has a lot of good information in it too for each of the chapters that we'll be covering. And what else? I think that's it. So if you need anything in between time, I do the sessions on Wednesday. I apologize. I originally scheduled it for Tuesday, but I had to move it to Wednesday because of I'm in a class on Tuesdays and I just double booked myself. Um, and then this Friday, if you wanted to come to the repeat or know someone who wants to come, they can join at any time. You don't have to come to Wednesday to be on Friday. Friday is just a repeat, same information. But this Friday, instead of 10, we'll be doing 8:30 to accommodate my doctor's appointment at 10. So there we go. Before we do the next slide, Ms. 306, if you don't mind, taking a few minutes to introduce yourself. Tell me where you are, where you're coming to us from, who you work for, what you do, and maybe one thing you want to learn um, in our journey together. I'm going to keep notes. Who wants to go first?
Well, this is Emily. My name is Emily Wilson. I am the manager for Arkansas Rehabilitation Region 11, which is the El Dorado office.
Okay. Hi, Emily. What is one thing you want to take away from our time together, our 4 sessions?
I honestly don't know. Um,
Okay,
I
fair
mean, I
enough.
think I, I think that there is much room for growth as a leader. So I'm just hoping to see, maybe look at some things that maybe I can do a little bit differently that may make a difference with my team.
Great. Thank you, Emily. Let's see, Lisa, do you want to go next?
Yes, my name is Lisa Earls, and I'm the area manager for Area Region 2,
Mhm.
and that's the Batesville and Jonesboro office. Um, I would like to get out of this to become a little bit more effective leader, um, to learn how to be a leader and not, as people say, to be a leader, but also be with my team as a team member. Um, yeah, that's what I really want to be. You can't be. I know you can't be a leader, and also, you have to do what you need to do to make your team. Motivate your team and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. So basically, just to become a more effective leader.
Great. Thank you, Lisa. Jennifer, you're next.
Okay, I'm Jennifer Ragsdale from Region 1, which is the Fayetteville and Harrison area. And I'm driving from Little Rock to Fayetteville right now, but I'm always looking for ways to improve. I think for me, confidence in my ability is the biggest thing, because innately I'm shy and reserved. So confidence and being able to influence my team is always is a goal for me always.
Mhm. Perfect. Thank you so much. Those are all perfect for our time together, especially today, because we'll be talking about the 5 levels of leadership in our presentation and discussion, and we'll also talk about influence and um, relationship. Lisa, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
Okay, perfect. I will also say that this is a discussion about developing the leader within you 2.0 for the book that I shared. And you can find the book on Amazon or wherever you find books. And it's written by John Maxwell, who is my mentor and my friend. And if you've ever heard John Maxwell speak, you know he always introduces himself by saying, "Hi, I'm John Maxwell, and I'm your friend." So I know he won't mind me saying, even though we've never met in person, that he's my friend. And if you probably are familiar with him, if not, let me tell you a little bit about John Maxwell. He is a New York Times best-selling author, and his focus is on leadership and personal development. He is one of the most trusted leaders around the world. As in when you talk about the topic of leadership, I don't know that you can find a better person who can speak about it. He sold more than 25 million copies of his 85 books. I have on my bookshelf up here, I don't know, about 10 of those books. And this book that we are reading today, that we're discussing key concepts from, is called Developing the Leader Within You 2.0. It's one of his all-time bestsellers. He first wrote the book, the version 1, over 25 years ago, and he started the rewrite some time ago and decided, and it was necessary because more than 80% of what he had originally written 25 years ago needed to be updated, needed to be changed. And I think that's important because as we grow as leaders, if your goal is to grow as a leader, um, we know that what I was 25 years ago, or 25 months ago, or 25 days ago is not who I am today, that we're always growing, and that we always need to come back to learn the key concepts of leadership. And I am always that person. I am a lifelong learner. I'm looking for opportunities for continued growth and leadership. So I like to follow his example in my own life. He's at, I think I wrote down 76, and that was last year. So he's probably 77 now. And he even says today that he hasn't arrived as a leader. I definitely haven't arrived as a leader. It's something I'm still growing in. I'm still learning. I'm still practicing on a day-to-day basis. There's no, even if when we talk about the 5 levels of leadership, today we get to that pinnacle. Even then, we don't stay there. We may achieve that with a few people. We don't achieve it with everybody. Leadership is something that we grow and we develop all our lives. And so, as John has said in this book and in his own life, we all need to grow as leaders. And it's something that we have to be intentional about. That leadership is not something that's going to happen to us through osmosis. We have to be intentional and set aside time like this to develop our leadership skills. And it's important that we clarify that today, that we all are here to grow and to become better leaders. All right, so the first thing we'll share on the screen is a quote, and it says, and it's a quote from my friend John Maxwell, who says, "Everything rises and falls on leadership." Anyone have a comment about that quote? What do you think about that? Is that true, false? Are you kind of in the middle on that?
I think it's absolutely true. I mean, one day you have a great day, your team has a great day, you feel like you're Superman, and you're doing everything right, and then the next day everything falls apart, and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did I do wrong for for everything to crash and burn?
Mm, that's a great point, Emily. Every day's different. Thank you. Anyone else? Everything rises and falls on leadership. What do you think about that quote?
I'm thinking when I hear it that it is saying that it depends on what kind of leadership a leader you are. If you're a good leader, it usually that yeah, you're gonna have some days that it feels like everything is crashing,
Mhm.
but you know that the next day you're gonna get back and at it again. And I just think the attitude that you have with being a good leader, that some days are not gonna be as great as you would like for them to be, but I feel like long as you get up the next day and try again, and you
Mhm.
keep looking to grow a little bit more, then that was my take on it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lisa. Tenacity, resilience, all of that matters in
Yeah.
leadership. Yeah. Thank you. Jennifer, any thoughts about this quote? Everything
Um,
rises and falls on leadership.
I agree with Lisa. I think that your team will rise to your expectations. So if
Mhm.
you set the bar high, they'll rise. If it's down on the floor, then that's where they expect it to be. So,
Mm.
yeah, that's how I see it.
Oh man, that's a great point. We set the standard, and all of everything you all said is so true. And what's even more true to me is that we all deserve good leadership, whether you're in the office, in the community, in the home, the world, the community. Our lives deserve good leaders, good leadership. We need it to thrive. We need it to be the best version of ourselves. And I think we all recognize this to be true. But oftentimes we know it's true, but we don't spend the time necessary to develop ourselves to be those good leaders that we say the world deserves. And we know it's important because when we have good leadership, when we have good leaders, the world is a better place. It changes people's lives. It makes people more productive. It makes people happier. It makes people want to stay at the workplace. Being a good leader has so many repercussions in the workplaces. As you all have said, people rise to the occasion or they don't rise to the occasion. They produce according to that level of standard that that leader has set. So the world becomes a better place when we become better leaders. So it's important that we develop ourselves to become the leader that we have the potential to be, because we know if we do, it's going to change the world around us. There's a different phrasing about um, the world is just waiting on us. And or what are we waiting on? Or maybe you've heard, if not you, then who? All of that leads to the importance of developing ourselves as leaders. If we add to our effectiveness, it's going to add to the effectiveness of others. If we don't, then others can't thrive. If we subtract, when we add to our effectiveness, it's going to help us detract or subtract our ineffectiveness. It's going to help us to strengthen the areas that are weak in our lives or in our leadership ability. So it's going to multiply our impact more or less. That's one big takeaway from chapter one. And I'm curious, before we go any further, if you had a chance to read chapter one, if you had any big takeaways from chapter one that you want to share.
I like when it said that your leadership, that how to become a little bit more effective, and that you gotta, there's points, and you don't even know that you're doing it if people are listening to you, if people tend to follow you.
Mhm.
Some of us are mothers, and into, you might not know it, but that is leader, because your children do have to follow, and you have to try to lead them in, the direction that you want them to. So it was just giving examples of leadership that you never really thought that, can help you, that you're already doing and didn't realize it. So,
Yeah, that's a great point. I really like that. I think I remember I reread through chapter 1 today, and that's one of the first points John Maxwell makes in this chapter is about um, we're all in leadership in some capacity, whether we're a parent or a friend or whatever position we may be, whether we're the boss or the janitor, we're all in positions of leadership. And one of the things that stood out to me, it impacted me the first time I read it, and I was reminded of it today. It's something I don't remember if it was Emily who said this, that that you're shy and reserved. But he says in chapter 1 about even the shyest person, the most reserved person, is going to influence 10,000 people in their lifetime. That's a lot of people that we're going to come in contact with. A lot of people that we are impacting that we may not even know that we're influencing. So thank you, Lisa. Yes, parents are influencing, or we're in positions of influence and leadership, even if we don't realize it. Any other takeaways from chapter 1?
This is Jennifer. My book hasn't come in yet. It's been ordered, but I haven't
Mhm.
received it yet. So
Oh, no problem. I was just looking about insights about influence, where it talks about the 10,000 people that we influence over the course of our lives, whether you're outgoing or shy. And then the pages just kind of go together after a while. But yeah, I remember also the the point about the parents. One thing that I had from this chapter is a quote that he has early on in the chapter 1, where he says, he who thinketh he leadeth and hath no one following him is only taking a walk. And he says, for you to be a leader, someone has to be following you. And that stood out to me too, that we have to have people coming along behind us or beside us if we are leaders. Leadership is the ability to obtain followers. If we don't have any people following us, we're just kind of out there lollygagging. We're on our own. So yeah, lots of good points, and we'll share a few more things from chapter 1 as we go forward. So this on the screen, it says each one of you can grow as a leader. Again, remember we have to be intentional about leadership development. One of the things that he says in chapter 1 is John Maxwell says when he started out in his field of leadership development, of course, now he's a leadership guru. But when he started out, there were very few books on this topic of leadership. Today, we can go find books upon books upon books, articles. We can go to colleges and universities and we can take courses on leadership. So that has definitely grown over the years. So there's an unending amount of opportunity and knowledge out there to help us grow in our leadership. But we often take the position that leadership will happen to us automatically. We think it's going to happen either because we get a title, and we think a title and seniority will make us a leader, or we think that because we weren't born with a certain personality type, that we can't be a leader. Or we wait and think that when we get into a position that we are going to start becoming a leader when I get a certain management or leadership position. And the truth is, leadership has to happen because we are intentional about it. We all have the potential to grow and to be the very best leader that we have the potential to be, but we have to be intentional. We have to set aside the time to develop our leadership skills. So when we say leadership rise, everything rises and falls on leadership. So whether it's in home, whether it's in business or church or politics, we know this is true. But we have to make room for growth of ourselves as leaders. We have to want to be, and I think you all have said that you are here because that's your desire. It's certainly one of the reasons why I'm here and having this conversation. One of the conversations I was having last night with a colleague is about a person they promoted into a leadership position. It is a upper management position. And now they are paying the cost for it. What's the phrase that she used? She said that people, this is not the phrase she used, but a paraphrase is that oftentimes we promote people into positions and they're not qualified for it. We think because someone is hardworking or someone is likable, that this person is going to make a great supervisor. They're going to make a great team lead, or they're going to be a wonderful manager. And the truth is, we promote people in those positions. They're not ready to lead. And they begin to make big mistakes, and that has repercussions on the team. You begin to see morale drop, production drop, and we begin to lose employees. Well, in the situation I had with my colleague yesterday, she promoted a friend who helped her in a rough spot, right? So there's some loyalty there. This person came to her aid and helped her out. But this person is not producing. This person is taking work that they're supposed to do and they're putting it off on other people. This person is a complainer. This person brings down the morale of others in the office. And this person, I hate to say it out loud, this person cusses a lot in the office and among colleagues, and I'm assuming among customers as well. This person has a lot of bad habits, and rather than deal with the person who is this my friend's friend and colleague that came to assist her in a time of need, she moved this person into a different management position, and now has a realization that those bad habits that were in the other management position did not change and is not going to change because this person is not ready to lead. In fact, this person is damaging the team behavior. You see other team members who are picking up those bad habits, and you see the morale that is dropping. So you may have had similar situations happen in your workplace. Just because someone works hard, just because they're likable, doesn't mean that they're going to make a great leader. What do you think about that? Any thoughts or comments?
I think that's absolutely true, because I mean, you can, just because I know all of the things and how to do it, and even the way it should be done, doesn't mean that I have the ability to teach and motivate and have them, be able to do those same things.
True. It's something that we have to be taught. Elisa, were you going to say something?
Yes, I was just going to say I agree because I feel like, to be a leader, you have to be a good follower. And you have to, see, why am I taking this job? Am I ready for this job? what do I know about good leadership?
Mhm.
Mine was um, going from a counselor in the office for years and then going into leadership.
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes your fellow workers or your team may still see you as the counselor role and don't want to, see you as the leader. So this is when that's been a little bit for me. How do
Mhm.
I draw the line to say, yes, I was your coworker, but now I am in leadership and, I have to do things a little bit different. So yes, I agree with what it's saying.
That is a big challenge for moving from colleague to supervisor. So thank you for sharing that. In fact, I think these next few principles will help to address some of those issues. The definition of leadership is influence. So if you're to go out and look up the definition of leadership, you're going to get, I don't know, over, I think he says over 700 million results if you want to define leadership. I'm curious, I know that you've talked about it. How would you define leadership? What's your definition?
Um,
Go ahead.
my definition is just, being a good leader, being able to influence people to trust that you are going to, lead them well to produce or to, to get a good goal as to, what you're doing.
Mhm.
Being able to understand patience, not willing to always thinking that, that to me being leadership would be that you will lead and not, but also be understanding because someone can tell you something. You can learn from your fellow coworkers or your fellow people that you work with. It's not
Yeah.
all the time that you're going to be right. So,
Mhm. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Influence, trust, leading others well, understanding and
yeah,
patience, learnable, teachable. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? How do you define leadership?
I think a lot of it is about being able to look at your team, the people on your team,
Mhm.
who, I mean, because what motivates and how you lead one person, it doesn't work for everybody. So being able to look at the different people that you're leading and know, okay, I have to adjust this small thing to make it work for this person.
Mhm. Leadership is tailored to the person. It is not a one size fits all or one size fits most. So true.
Mhm.
Thank you, Emily. Jennifer, anything you want to add about how you define leadership?
Well, I think everything that they've said, but also being able to see the big picture and motivate or encourage people in a direction to
Mhm.
reach those goals.
Oh, for sure. That motivation, the setting a vision, that's something we'll share in one of the future chapters, but that's so important, being able to inspire others in the work. As I said before, most people don't consider themselves to be leaders unless they're in a position or they have a title. And I know I've been there in the past. But that will that that can change as we grow in our leadership ability. There's a quote in chapter 1 from J.R. Miller. It says, "There have been meetings of only a moment which have left impressions for life and for eternity." And when he says that quote, he's talking about influence. Have you ever met someone and you didn't know that person for long? You knew them for a moment or for a season. Yet you've never forgotten them. They've had a big influence on your life. That's one of the key facets of leadership, is that, as Lisa said, influence that we have on others. So a real leader knows that leadership is all about people. And then the other assumptions I talked about earlier that we make about leadership is that you have to be born into leadership, or it's a certain personality type, like maybe I need to be charismatic or I need to be a great public speaker. None of that is true. And none of us are born leaders. It's something we develop from experience, from being in situations, and having a mindset of dedicating ourselves to learning and applying sound principles of leadership. One thing about leadership is sometimes we don't know where to start. And I've said that for myself about many things. But the thing about becoming a better leader is just to start where you're at. We become better leaders by intentionally developing our skills, developing what already lies within us, and giving an opportunity to grow. And so the most important concept, as I said before, that we want to remember about leadership is that leadership is about influence, nothing more, nothing less. For better or for worse, leadership is all about influence. If we were to look through history about the people who influence our societies, who influence history, who left an indelible mark on us, we would narrow it all down to this concept of leadership. Time magazine in 1938 named Hitler the Man of the Year. He wasn't a great person morally, but he was a man of influence. And so that's how he earned that title as Man of the Year, 1938. But there are also, so the thing to remember about Hitler is that influence could be good or influence can be bad. And he certainly influenced in a good way. There are also great leaders who left a positive impact on us, whether you're talking about leaders like our presidents, like John F. Kennedy, or great leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., or from history, so many public figures that we can name. And as we talked about earlier, everyone is influencing over our lifetimes. We're impacting thousands and thousands of people. Just remember that impact that can last a lifetime can be either negative or can be positive. So the best investment that we can make in our future is to start developing our influence. And in fact, that's part of our homework. And I know you didn't know you were going to have homework, but to think about what can you do to develop yourself intentionally as a leader, besides taking this course, what else can you do? And then how are you going to intentionally grow your influence? Any thoughts about that? What are you going to do to intentionally grow as a leader? And how are you going to intentionally grow in your influence? I mean, you don't have to be a social media queen or king or a TikTok influencer to have influence, but you can influence your team. You can influence the people around you in the workplace. What's something you can do to grow your influence?
The first thing that came to mind for me is just encouraging your staff. If they want to go back to school, for those that are looking to get an LPC or getting their master's if they don't have it, just encouraging being there seeing them grow, because when you see them grow and you have encouraged them, I feel like that you're growing because you are influencing, you are encouraging.
I mean, it's like influence could be, I can't replicate myself, but I can pour into someone else and help them to be the best version of themselves. So it's almost like my legacy is
Yes.
developing other people. I love what you said about encourage, and I reached up to get this book off my shelf called The Leadership Challenge from Kouzes and Posner, and it's one of those must read books if you're interested in developing yourself as a leader. And they talk about the 5 practices of exemplary leadership. And one of them is that encouraging the heart. So it's so important that we help people be the best version of themselves by pouring into them. Emily, you were going to say something?
I was, and I completely lost what I was going to say, but I think that a big part of growing as a leader is it's being able to take criticism, and I don't mean like ugly criticism, but constructive. How could we have worked with this situation better? Like, how could I have been more helpful while you were dealing with this situation, and being able to actually listen to that and put that in place when there are things that don't necessarily go well.
Oh, yeah. That feedback is so critical to our growth as a leader. It's a gift, and we should take it as a gift. It's not always easy to hear, though. And for those of us who show expressions very easily on our faces, it can be hard to process. So, yeah, it takes time, but we should definitely consider any feedback that we get as gifts to help us grow in our leadership journey. So in the book, there's this lovely this lovely pyramid, so to speak, or this 5 stages of leadership development. I'm trying to move this again. I think you can see most of it. No. Okay, let's see if this is better. So the five leadership can develop in 5 stages, basically. There's a basic entry level of leadership, which is positional. This is the first level of leadership because this is the level that we follow, where people follow us because they have to. I have a position, and with that position become certain rights. And people follow me because they respect the position, not necessarily the person. So you take away the paycheck, and maybe that person's influence may go from a 4 to a 1, because it's all about the position and not the people around them. This is a good place to start. We have all been in positions that gave us a certain level of leadership and influence, but it's not the place where we want to stay. You're in positions, I'm in a position, and it gives us certain rights. People follow us because they have to, because that's our position. I'm the manager, I'm the supervisor, I'm the director. So we don't want to stay in positional level influence. We want to move up. What do we know about positional leaders? If we're only using our position to develop our leadership, people usually aren't committed to the organization when they're leading by position. We have to move up to a different level. Also, in position, if I'm relying upon my position to get me leadership, then I'm relying upon whoever appointed me in that position or the boss to give me influence. So again, this is where we start. It's not a bad place to start. It's a starting point, but it's not the place that we want to stay. Second level is permission. Permission is when we follow a person because we want to. And this is characterized by good relationships. And if you know the phrase, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, this is the hallmark of permission. True leadership begins when we lead with the heart and not with the head. If we're unable to build solid relationships, lasting relationships, people soon discover that they're also unable to develop lasting, effective leadership. So having relationship is really important here. Getting to know your colleagues, spending time with them, knowing about their children, their families, their hobbies, all of that takes time. It takes investment. So that all comes with permission. I'm here. People follow me because they want to, because they have a relationship with us. The third level is production. People follow us because of what you have done for the organization. So if we are playing a game of basketball and we are choosing team members, it comes from the book, and I get to choose, and let's say you're choosing between me and Michael Jordan, you're probably going to choose Michael Jordan to be on your team, or LeBron James, because they have a history of producing great results when it comes to the sport of basketball. So we want people on our team who can produce and who can inspire, and who can get the results. So at level 3 in production, we have to be good at what we do. We have to learn how to do the work. We have to help people reach their goals, achieve the closures, achieve whatever the goals may be. We have to be in the trenches with them doing the work. Because if I know that you're working with me, that raises team engagement, that raises morale, and that also increases loyalty. So that's production. I follow you because I know that you're capable of achieving great results. The fourth level is people development. We talked about this earlier. A level 4 leader is able to develop other people, and people follow you because of what you've done for them. Maybe you've mentored or you coached them. You've influenced them in some way. People follow you not because you may have a great position of power, but because you have a position where you're empowering people to be the best version of themselves. So at level 4 in people development, you're empowering people by appealing to their hearts and to their minds. You're helping people to grow personally. So there are 8 questions that he shares about level 4 leadership, to know if you're at level 4. So he asks the questions you should ask yourself about developing people to help position you for success at level 4 are: am I passionate about my own personal growth? Does my growth journey have credibility? So in this one, people want to know what you've done to develop yourself as a leader. So sharing your story. So you have to believe in the messenger before you believe the message. The third level is, and this is all in people development, am I successful? Third level is, are people attracted to me because of my growth? They want to see you, that you are learning and growing. The fourth question is, am I successful in the areas where I want to develop others? Do you have something to offer? You can't give something that you don't have. The fifth question is, have I crossed the spend time to the invest time line? So are you investing in people? Sixth question, do you have a teachable way of life? I think we heard that earlier too. Are we teachable? And the seventh question, am I willing to be vulnerable as a role model and coach? And that means, am I willing to talk about the mistakes I've made along the way? And then the eighth question is, do the people I develop succeed? So when I'm teaching others in their lives to improve, how can you tell if you've been successful, if you see a change? So in people development is investing in others. And then the last area is the pinnacle. People follow you because of who you are and what you represent. This is achieved only by reputation. And so, again, thinking about those great leaders, that if I say the name Martin Luther King Jr. or Nelson Mandela, or as I said earlier, John F. Kennedy, or other great presidents, other great leaders, you just got to say their name. I would even add John Maxwell to that list, my friend John Maxwell, because over time they've proven themselves as a leader. They've invested in other people. They've produced great results. They are good at developing relationships, getting to know people, and potentially they have that position. So the goal here is to apply the 5 levels of leadership that you have in your own life, and to also understand that you're going to be at different levels with different people. So with your staff, with your different staff, you may be at a different level. You still may be in a positional level with some staff that you may have difficulty connecting with, and you may be at a level 2 with staff that you have a relationship with. If you're not seeing results like you would like to see with some of your staff, it could be because you're still in relationship level and you haven't moved to production level. And so you need to do better in letting people see what you've done for the organization. So different levels, different people. The goal is to understand where you are in your relationship with your colleagues, with your staff, or with others in your life. What do you think about these 5 levels of leadership?
Well, I was going to say kind of what you just touched on, that it seems like they're interchangeable, depending on who it is. And you can tell the difference and where you are with them usually. If they just view you as their manager, just go along and get along, or if they are, motivated to try and get the best results, that kind of stuff.
Yep, I agree. You can be at different levels with different people. And so it's important to assess where you are with everyone, and you can move to a pinnacle with one and then still be at a position with someone else. So you're always flowing. You don't stay at one level. The other thing about production, level 3, it says on level 3, people get things done, they produce results, they start to benefit from what he calls momentum. They grow, they solve problems, they're winning becomes normal. But he makes a note here that if people naturally build relationships, like in level 2, or you see that you have meetings that are pleasant, everyone gets along, but nothing gets accomplished, then you may have been working or maybe in a situation where you're at a level 2, but not a level 3, right? So if you add results to relationships, and develop a team of people who like each other and who get things done, you've created a powerful combination. So the goal is, it's important to build relationship, but you don't want to just stay there. You want to also build in results. Any other thoughts about the 5 levels of leadership?
Can I, like, it seems, and as a counselor, I was not aware of how much office politics played into stuff because I was just focused on my job. But it seems like that can impact a lot of relationships and things that occur, and where you are with people on that hierarchy.
Yeah, politics is huge in higher ed for sure. And you don't always understand the power that's happening in the background when we talk about politics. So understanding that narrative or that momentum that's happening in the background is so important in helping us to build relationships with folks. What else?
Well, I think it's really easy to get like I feel like it would be really easy to get in one of these stages and feel stuck there,
Mhm.
especially in like, and I'm looking at 3. You get in 3, you're getting good results, and you get stuck in that, and you forget that there's more that can be done. That it's not, yes, our job is to produce results and to help our, team produce results, but there's still more. Like, what are we doing? Like, I think it's like with my team, and I take this from the manager that was here when I was a counselor for many years, is, she didn't just teach me how to be a counselor, but she taught me how to do her job. Like, she taught me how to, as I grew, as I grew as a counselor and kind of moved up, in the things she wanted me to do, it wasn't just, hey, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate that you're here and I respect you for the outcomes that you're producing. It was, okay, here's your next step. This is what needs to happen next. This is where you need to develop next. And I think it's easy for us to not develop our people and get stuck in that production, because what needs to be done is getting done. But then what happens, for instance, when, if I move on, if I move into a different position, then who's prepared to take my position? Who's prepared to take over if all I've done is, just focus on these results and not how to help them get there or how to help them develop something else.
That, love that people development. Yeah, and when you're focused on that mentoring and coaching of others, you're leaving a legacy for yourself. You're developing loyalty in the organization and in your team. I mean, so many impacts that it has in terms of influence. So yeah, it's important that we don't get stuck at production, that we are looking to see what else can be done, um, who can I build up or invest in to help take those leadership positions. Sometimes we don't do that because we don't want to think about that day coming, but we're not invincible. We're not going to always be in these positions. We have to be willing to do what it takes to build the next generation of leaders.
Look, I think it's worth it to build something just so I can take a vacation that I'm not
mean,
worried
right?
about things. If I build somebody that I know can handle things, then I can say, you know what, I'm taking that 2-week vacation and here's, it's all yours. Take over.
A 2-week vacation where you're not checking email every day or
Yes.
answering emails every day.
Yes.
Can we do
Yes.
that?
Yes, and I
Ah,
have, and I did that last year. I took a vacation to where I took my phone with me, and the instructions were, do not call me unless it is a true emergency. If you can figure it out, don't call me. I
Did they
got one phone
call?
call in
Yeah.
10 days,
That's
which was
awesome.
not bad.
I'm impressed that you took a 2-week vacation. I don't know that I've ever done that. Wow.
It really wasn't a vacation. It was a dance competition workshop for my daughter, but I was not in the office for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
But that's one of the benefits of investing in people, right? You don't have to worry about, is the house going to burn down while I'm away? You've got well-equipped leaders there to do the work. Confident and competent. All right, so the last on the slide are what specific actions are you going to take to increase your influence with others? Or and share the 5 levels of leadership and ask other people to give you feedback on where they see you are with them. To add to that, pick 2 people in your life that you want to intentionally build your influence, and then share those 5 levels of leadership with them, and then begin to develop a plan on how you can build up your leadership with them, that you can move up to the pinnacle. Questions or comments? So, action that I've taken, I took the John Maxwell course last year to get certified as a John Maxwell speaker trainer coach. And they give all the resources and tools that you need to be successful. But along the way, and you probably can identify with this, I allow other work to get in the way. I have tons of things that I got to do and be responsible for. And it's so easy to get caught up in that. And then you add to it personal health issues and all that. I mean, and then I look up and it's almost a year since I first taken this course and first offered this particular discussion group and training. And then I came back to it, I think in March, and said, why am I not doing these classes? Because they've given me a blueprint. All I've got to do is follow it. So for my own personal leadership journey, this is not my normal way of doing trainings or offering trainings. So it's definitely one of the ways that I like to increase my influence with others, increase my own leadership, is offering this class, and then offering it no cost and doing a repeat on Friday. So investing the time and energy to know the material, to be comfortable with it, to have a discussion, to be open to sharing my own personal experiences, all part of the actions I've taken to help improve my own leadership, and influence, as well as just basic leadership. So thank you all for being with me. Now, remember, today is, we'll repeat on Friday morning at 8:30. And then next week, we'll be back to read and review, to review chapter 2, and to talk about priorities. That's the topic of chapter 2. And then we'll open up next week with a discussion of those 2 questions. If you shared those 5 levels with anyone, and what actions you're going to take to increase your influence. So if you don't know today the answers, that's something to think about over the next 6 or 7 days. How are you going to increase your influence with others? And then having a conversation with someone on your team or in your life about the 5 levels, which is really good, and asking them, where am I on this with you, and what can I do to grow in my relationship with you? All right, any questions or comments before we dismiss?
And just to clarify, it'll be every Wednesday at 3, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, hopefully next Wednesday we won't be driving, which apparently I made it back to the office before Jennifer did.
Yeah, be somewhere safe. You may have to park if you're in your vehicle, because I want you to be able to see the screen as well. So not the safest, but I'll hang out for a few minutes if you have any issues or anything you want to discuss and get some feedback on. Happy to do that. I'm going to stop my share. Thank you all for being here, and I've enjoyed this conversation. We'll do chapter 2 next week. And feel free to share with your colleagues. They don't have to have attended today to come to any future sessions. It's still open to anyone. Thank
All right.
you. I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.